Hello, my peeps, and welcome back to Passionate People and Preposterous Peeves. It's here, the one, the only, the one we've been waiting for, episode 100! We did it! Woo! I'm so excited. Thank you for the long-time listeners. Thank you for people that are just stopping by now. I'm Ike, and this has been a great journey, and it will continue to be a great journey. This isn't like the final episode or anything like that. And I'm so glad that you've taken this time, past times, to stop by and listen to me make weird noises, talk to people, and have fun moments. It means so much to me that you give me your time, your energy, your attention. If you like this episode, feel free to like it, share it, subscribe, do whatever. Thank you so much. This has been a great journey, and it'll continue being a great journey. I think I've already said that before, but I said it again. Anyway, you can find me at twitter.com/likeikes. You can message me at passionandpeevespodcast@gmail.com. I just finished a whole plate of lasagna after getting back from top 8ing my 4th Magic tournament this week. So, kind of in a weird headspace and uploading this and yada, yada, yada. Also, random aside, there's a lot of things going on right now. I'm realizing that, but, the show must go on. Side note, there might not be an episode next week. Through playing all of these Magic tournaments and doing well, and my work coming to a close and prepping for this big tournament in Dallas that's next weekend. Things slipped away. A bunch of cancellations happened, and so there might not be an episode. I'm trying really hard to make sure there is one that happens. If not, I do apologize. Hopefully something that does happen. I was talking with a friend the other day, and I think I might prep for a 5K this summer, just for like fun and good exercise. Was talking to some people about like brain mojo and overall being, and I was like, exercise is like really, really good for you, like mentally and physically. I was like, damn, it totally is. And then I looked down my paunch, I was like, so I'm gonna try to deal with that in a semi-competitive way, and hopefully have a friend prep with me so that I have something to do it with. But need something to do. If you have other ways that you recommend of getting back into shape or that you enjoy doing, hit me up on Twitter at likeikes or message me at passionandpeevespodcast@gmail. I would love to hear it. I am open and interested. Like I said earlier, I am going to Dallas this weekend. Please wish me luck. Honestly, I'm just glad it's going to be over. This has been, I was talking to someone the other day and realized it's been, maybe I said this last week, I don't know. But it's been, over the last 2 months, I've played and prepped for 3 major tournaments, and it's kind of exhausting. So I'm very glad that this is going to be just done. Hopefully I play well. I'll definitely be fine with the result if I play well. Obviously would love to win 30 grand, and, a title and a big old trophy would be very appreciated on my mantle that I would have to build, but 30,000 help. But that would be really cool. But, as long as I feel like I played my best, I think I'll be fine. I'm just be happy to have this, like, looming thing behind me at this point. Also trying to get to a point, this is something I've been focusing on recently, where I try to focus more inward as opposed to outward. What did I do? What could I have done differently, as opposed to like, what went bad? And that's not just a Magic thing, that's a life thing. Obviously, way fucking harder, done than said. But, it's a step in that direction. Very much trying to enjoy the journey while focusing on self-betterment and like letting the, adulations and congratulations be irrelevant. Metaphorically, obviously, when people are like, hey, you did good, it feels great, but to not focus on, basically head down, make sure that your your feet are running in the right way, that you train them, as opposed to like looking at where the goal mark is and what place you're in. There's this great player who I love, Sam Black. A friend of mine gave me a quote, and he said he always focuses on the game and not on the tournament. He figures that each that Magic is kind of like this big pool of games that you play, and that every so often you get enough of the wins in the right kind of time frame that you win a tournament or you make a deep run, and not to look at it but to look at it as this big, this kind of pool that you're putting things into, as opposed to this, each individual thing, and to more focus on the game itself than the tournament that you're in. So obviously, very cerebral and big brain and kind of zen approach to it, but it's something that I'm kind of pushing towards. Any which way, now that I'm done talking, let's hear somebody else talk. This week my guest is Tom BELAND, so take it away, past tense Isaac. All right, folks, today with me I have the runner of the invisible in the middle of the quad 1980 Napa High School baseball team, giver of a whole speech with an ink stain on his crotch, and creator of Donald and Vlads. It's Tom BELAND!
How we doing? How we doing? I know that guy. How you doing, man? High five me. Ready to go. Yeah. Rah.
How we doing this fine evening, my friend?
It is a fine evening. We've had some good weather the past couple days, but it's been cold. But like, there's actual sky outside.
God forbid.
We've had so many apocalyptic rains over the past couple of weeks or month.
Well, if the apocalypse was to come, what would be the first concert you remember going to, and what would the best concert you remember going to be?
Best concert I went to, I was at Disney World once, and they were setting up this little fake, not fake, this little stage, because they just create these things out of nowhere. And I said, "Who's playing?" And they said it was Brian Setzer and his orchestra, and Vavoom had just come out. They was promoting that. And I had they're building this right in front of me, so I just stuck around, and he came out and played, and while he was playing, I drew him. And then he was playing Rock This Town. It was guitar part of it. There was the horn section, and he turned, and I flashed it at him. And he had a great reaction to it, so that was pretty cool. So I love that guy. So that was a great concert. Is the other one, it's like concert I haven't seen before?
First concert. What's the first concert you
first concert. Holy cow, that would have been Kool and the Gang.
Damn! Starting off at the top.
Grad night. I was Kool and the Gang, Shalimar, and I think the Monkees were there. I think they had everyone together.
Not the band, just a couple of monkeys.
Just a couple of monkeys with guitars, and they sounded phenomenal. It was one of their last times they were all together, because Nesmith sometimes didn't show up on these concerts.
Couldn't be bothered.
Well, his mom, I think, created Whiteout. And so he was loaded, so he didn't really need to do the gigs, from what I heard.
Imagine being so loaded that being part of a famous band was beneath you.
You have to go to it. No, you guys go have the fun. You guys were doing
Yeah, it's okay. I'll sit here with my Whiteout money.
And it was at Disneyland. It was grad night, and we saw those. But I remember going to Dion the Green concerts that were like $15 got you in, and you saw everybody all afternoon at the Oakland Coliseum.
Awesome.
I just saw Mellencamp not too long ago. A couple weeks ago, I saw Mellencamp in San Francisco.
As good as he's ever been?
Well, you forget that he's 70 until he takes his jacket off and he's got suspenders and a T-shirt on. You go, oh, now you look 70. But he was good. He was there. You could tell that he was taking different breaks to sort of gather himself. But it was a really cool concert. The entire audience were like clones of me.
Well, while we're kind of on the subject, who's someone you've never met, alive or dead, that you'd like to have lunch with?
Most of them would be comic book artists that I like. God, someone I like to have lunch with. Bill Watterson, because he's
Oh
elusive
yeah, yeah he
in
is.
this, you know.
He's done like
And
one interview in his life or something like that.
yeah, I think he did one recently on Cartoon Kayfabe.
Yeah, guy
Uh,
is guy is an enigma.
yeah, it was pretty interesting. I read this lengthy interview about him, and it was the how he felt about the Calvin peeing cartoons.
What do you say about it? I'm curious.
Well, at first he thought he was against it, but then yeah, you realize you're never going to be able to stop it.
Hmm.
You can't tell people to stop doing something. You'll get twice as many out there. So he learned to live with it from what I gathered from it.
Hmm.
But as far as I don't know, I like Joe Montana. He was my idol for a long time. Montana was. Um, uh, Tom Schultz of Boston. I was a big Boston fan. Uh, and I liked the fact that he did all the arrangements on the albums. It was cool. Same with what's his name from ELO, Jeff Lynne.
Hmm.
I like someone who's creative. I'd want to have
Yeah.
dinner with. I don't want to just sit there and go, "Oh, traffic's nice." Yeah,
Are
I
there
want somebody
any
who's going.
are there any artists you wouldn't want to meet?
Um, I don't know, because there's artists out there whose styles don't really mesh with mine very well, but that's what I like about what they do.
Hmm.
Um, no, I would meet with any artist unless they were just known dickheads,
Yeah,
But if I
is there a known dickhead that comes to mind?
sometimes I think it's me. I'm the one. I think sometimes. I once got in a big flame war with Joe Quesada over the lateness of Daredevil,
Hmm.
and it only happened because I was going through some shit. And I needed someone to vent on, and Daredevil had been late again, and so this was back in the message board days.
Yeah.
It was the Brian Bendis message boards, and my name was on that thing was Megatunes, and then Joe came on and gave a reason why the books were late. That was a printing error, and I just dogpiled on him. Is that the big red Daredevil printer? Because everybody else comes out on time. And at one point he said, we went back and forth, and he said, we don't take subscriptions on Daredevil anymore. And I said, well, guess what? I just called Marvel and I became a subscriber to Daredevil like 2 minutes ago. And so this goes on for like 300 posts. And then, like 2 years later, Tom Brevoort likes what I'm doing on True Story Spirit of God. And he says, how would you like to write a Spider-Man book? And to me, this is like, one of the apostles coming to your house going, hey, Jesus is in town. And he says you can write a whole chapter of the next Bible. And I was like, yeah, I'll take that. It was a backup story, but still it was Spider-Man. That's
Yeah.
my dude, man. 100% my dude. And then I realized, oh, Joe's never gonna approve this. There's no way this is gonna happen. And he did.
Oh,
He
that's so
also put my
cool.
name in the running for to write Spider-Man Loves Mary Jane, but Terry Moore got it instead of me. And it was the first time I was ever in the running to write a series, and I was kind of terrified because I'm not really known for putting
Hmm.
books out quick, and I didn't want to be that guy who
Yeah.
started a series and didn't finish it. So I I loved trying out for it, but I was
Yeah.
relieved
A
that
little bit
Terry got it.
relieved. Yeah.
Yeah,
Feel that. Well,
because I could
we're
say I was up for it. I'd have to prove anything.
yeah, that's awesome. While we're kind of in that milieu, what media, whether it be book, graphic novel, TV show, or movie, have you been putting off that is next on your to consume list that you just can't wait to break open?
Uh, Procreate was a lot of fun to open up, and that's been an amazing device to figure out. The next thing would probably be what would it be? Probably something like I would love to do a thing where I just draw online and people kind of check it out, and if they want to buy it, they buy it. but I just don't have the space to do it yet. I got to clear out I rent a room, so I have to figure out the space for the room. And you really do need to have like an art table set up. And I think it's something you have to do by hand. I don't know if you can really sell this stuff digitally,
Mm.
although it would be a cleaner thing to look at. Um, and I like hand drawn art, so it'd be that. And then I think I'm gonna do a thing where I have every month I have 20 slots open. I do headshots, caricatures for like $20, and just quick in and outs. And
Yeah.
that's I've seen people doing this, and it looks like a lot of fun. I think I want to try it out also.
Cool.
So I think just taking stuff that's out there now and just applying myself more
Do you have a favorite movie line that you like to quote?
now. It depends. Sometimes I go with it's been a long time since I had a glass of whiskey and a sip of beer because it's from Silverado, and I love that movie. But I usually go with the Spicoli dude whenever something goes wrong. Because
Yeah.
when he gets rid of the pizza, and he goes, dude. And dude is always, I say dude quite a bit.
Well, especially
That
like
might be,
that version, right? There's multiple dudes. Like
yeah,
there's Spicoli's
dude,
dude,
dude.
and then you've got the Jeff Bridges dude,
And then you got disappointed dude. We go, dude,
dude.
dude.
It's so funny
Or,
to me going back and watching Fast Times at Ridgemont High, seeing Spicoli, and then going and watching I don't know any other movie he's in, and he's just like never
oh
that guy
yeah.
again. It's like such an
It's also
odd
like
thing.
watching Bill and Ted and seeing Keanu Reeves in it. And what was that show that was Freaks and Geeks?
Yeah,
And all the careers that launched off them, because at the time they're filming these shows, they have no idea they're going to be big.
yeah.
And I would say yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers. The other one I'd say quite a bit.
I mean, it's classic.
Yeah.
What's your favorite meal to make just for yourself, assuming cost and time are not relevant factors?
I like making sloppy Joe.
Yes.
I like
Preach.
making those quite a bit.
Preach,
I
brother.
like
Preach.
like a meatloaf. I like making tuna casserole.
Ooh.
I like
What goes in your tuna casserole?
it's like my mom did. It's first I cook the vegetables first, and then I mix it with the Campbell's mushroom soup and egg noodles, and then I put either I take the French fried onions on top, and then
Love
the
that.
tuna, and then it just kind of goes in the oven for a little bit, and it's just the most. My mom used to make this when she went to work, and she'd leave a note saying, uh,
Aw.
"Be home at 9,
Yeah. Tuna
casserole in
casserole
the
is real
fridge," and then in big caps she write down like, "Keep Tommy out of it," because I'd eat it cold.
good.
And we're an Irish family of like 6 kids, so I couldn't give a shit who didn't eat that night. It's a whole dish of food. I'm going first. It's
Like dogs at the bowl, just the big one just shoving the runs to side while he just gets his
yeah.
fill.
Conan O'Brien was talking recently on his podcast about how weird things that he does, and his assistant Sona said the weirdest thing you do is eat. And he just laughed. He goes, "Yeah, I'm scary to watch eat because I come from an Irish family."
Yeah.
And he says, "I don't talk. I just eat my
Yeah.
food as fast as I can."
Quick before they take it from me.
That, and you always, in case you want seconds.
Yeah.
Whoever
No,
finished your plate
yes.
would get seconds. My brother and I, my younger brother and I, would just like look at each other and go like, "I'm gonna eat this fucking shit so bad."
That's
And
interesting. I'll
and
not have
so
to
he
ask
says I
my
never stop to really enjoy the meal because
yeah.
I get anxious with food because I think that's all there's gonna be. And he's
That's
trying to learn how to calm that
interesting.
down.
Now I have to ask my mom. She grew up in a family of 5 that was living off one income, and she
Yeah.
eats like scary fast. Like she's a blink and her plate's empty kind of person, and she'll have like a conversation. Like she's mastered the art of public eating with food, like having a full conversation, being an attentive listener, interacting, but also her plate is magically empty. And I wonder if it's that she started like she grew up with 3 older brothers, an elder sister, with a dad who worked and a mom who stayed home and took care of the house. So they never had any money for food. It's like,
Yeah, we
kind of
would come
wonder
home
if
and
there's.
I remember one time I got this gig. My mom worked at a drugstore called Levinson's, and I was, oh God, I must have been like 8 or 9 years old. And I went to the store to see her, and Ruth, this lady who was like, I thought she was like 100, but this is when you could smoke behind the counter, so she was like smoking her cigarette and how's it going, Tommy? And I noticed that she had the new bundle of comic books on the counter. I said, are those new comics? And she goes, yeah, I hate these things. I said, how can you hate comics? She goes, I hate taking them. I have to take the old ones out. I got to put the new ones up. And it's just a hassle. And that spinner rack is annoying. I said, I'll do it for you. And she goes, really? I said, yeah. She goes, if you do it, I'll give you $3 worth of comics. And at the time, they were 15 cents each.
Yeah, that's like a friggin' bundle.
So I came home with my bundle, all excited. My dad goes, where'd you get those at? I said, I got a job today. He said, what do you mean you got a job? I said, I was got a job from Ruth at Mom's work. I take the old books off the rack and I help her put the new ones on, and she gave me $3 for some books. And he says, $3? I go, yeah. And he says, oh, that's too much money to get. My dad was like, he just thought it was like it was charity. So he said, I'll tell you what, you can keep 2 of these books and we'll bring the rest back because you shouldn't charge someone that much money. I said, I didn't charge anybody. She gave me the job. He says, no, come on, let's go. So I was really mad. I was hot about my dad, and
Oh
I
yeah,
didn't
that's
say
the
a
worst.
single word to him on the way. And my dad and I were great, but I
Before.
just knew I was right in the psycho inside. And I got my grocery bag that she gave me, and she looks at it. She goes, hi, Clarence. She goes, what are you doing here, Tommy? And he said, we want to return the comics. He shouldn't have charged you that much to help you out. And it's a little much, but he kept a couple of books, so thanks. And then she looked at my dad, and she took this long hit off her cigarette, and she goes, is Tommy allowed to go in and negotiate your pay at your job?
Oh,
And he just stared there, and he goes, like, what? He goes, well, is he allowed to tell you how much you're allowed to make? He says, well, no. He goes, well, this is a deal between me and your son. You have nothing to do with this. Why are you getting involved in this?
no!
And man, I'd like taking a step back, because my family, this is long before the day of, don't do that to your kid.
Yeah.
This
There's a big
old-school Irish.
swing a coming in your brain.
Yes. So, I'm thinking, oh, she's dead. You don't come up with dad like that.
Yeah.
And so then she just slid the bag back. She goes, Tommy, this is yours. You earned them. That was our deal. You keep them. I'm not going to break a deal. And I went, okay. And so we drove home, and he was real quiet now. And I said, she was right, though. It was a deal. You got your books. Just be quiet. And then later on, when I went to bed, he came to my room. And I was reading my staff. He goes, how are your books? I went, they're great. And he says, hey, look, I don't know why I did that back there. For some reason, I felt like I was embarrassed that you had to go out and get a job. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know why you couldn't ask me for the money. I said, because it was $3.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah. I said, I didn't know she was going to give me that much. I just wanted to look at the covers.
Yeah.
And so she said I could do this every time the books come out. Back then, they came out more monthly.
Yeah. But still,
Yeah,
$3
every
for
2
the
weeks,
comics
I
back
think.
then.
Yeah, I don't think they came out weekly like they do now. But we went, one time I went to 7-Eleven at the same age. I went to 7-Eleven with my brother. And I look at the window, and they had this big advertisement for Slurpee cups. And they were the Marvel DC cups. And I just lost my fucking mind. Like, Slurpee cups with Spider-Man on it? And on the back is told his origin. I was going, what? So we came home from dinner, and we're just like sick. But I got a giant stack of Slurpee cups. And
So
my dad goes,
in moments like that, when you're around your folks and you see something that amazing, but coming from an Irish proper family, I doubt you're allowed to curse. What would be your favorite non-traditional curse word to use in such a circumstance?
usually, are you flipping kidding me? Was one we said a lot. And but we always cussed. I mean, there's too many kids to patrol, and we kind of had a rule that you could drop f-bombs as long as it was
Not
it
in
was
church.
good. Like if mom made her cake and I ate the cake and I went, oh my God, mom, that was fucking delicious. They didn't care if you said it.
Oh wow.
But if told my brother that he was a fucking idiot, then it was like, hey, come here a second.
Yeah.
You
Enjoy
know?
this. Enjoy this Dove soap bar.
My dad goes, "What are you guys so sick?" I said, "Oh, we just drank like a whole bunch of Slurpees." And must have had like 10 cups. He goes, "You drank 10 Slurpees?" And my brother has like he's getting one of those frost headaches or whatever they called,
Oh yeah.
the frozen head thing.
Yeah.
And so we're just like laid on the floor. And my dad goes, my dad says, why didn't you just buy one Slurpee and then ask if you could buy the cups? And I said, you could do that? I was a kid. So he goes, yeah, you can do that. You have to drink 20 of them. We always had moments like that.
Well, other than
I
that life hack, do you have a life hack you'd like to share with the class to improve their daily living?
um most of my stuff. Listen, I lost my parents when I was in before I graduated high school, and so for me it was very much if you wake up in the morning, appreciate it. You know, if if the worst thing happens is that you woke up,
Hmm.
and the sun is out, then I make the most of it. But I'm also really lazy. I don't. It's not like I can see the sun and go like I'm gonna go hike the mountain today. It's like okay, hey sun, nice to see you. I'm gonna stay indoors. But you just I don't know. There's sometimes where I'm just walking down the street and I'm looking at the poppies are in bloom right now, and I think like every year they do this stuff, and it's always beautiful to look at. And stay inquisitive.
What's your favorite non-exercise thing that you have to force yourself to do?
Walk over non-exercise.
Uh,
I think just like getting my stuff in order for the day. Like what are my plans for the day? I really
mm.
I kind of wing it
Do
every day.
you don't like making lists?
I don't. My ex would always make a list, and I was actually really impressed by that because she would get everything done and just cross it off, and then she knew she achieved stuff that day that was important. Whereas I would just do stuff and if it worked great, move on to the next thing.
Hmm.
But then she still has her parents, and they're able to guide her as she's growing up and stuff. Whereas I was pretty much free bird. My mom died in 12th grade, so as soon as I got out of high school, it was just on my own. So
Hmm.
there's a lot of times where I look and I go, shit, I'm 60 and I'm still here. And there's a lot of people I went to school with aren't here.
Hmm.
Are they through bad choices in life, or they just got sick or whatever? So I think at 60, especially at 60, I'm very aware of things around me that aren't money and they're not anything but just like a group of poppies on the grass. And I go like, we'll try to draw those things today. And I just sort of appreciate it now, especially at 60. Yeah.
So after 60 years on this earth, who would you want to play you in a movie of your life? You can choose the time period of your life that it would be focusing on and the time period of the actor who would be portraying you.
I keep getting hit with John Malkovich from people. Um,
I see it.
Especially when I'm
Sort
skinnier, I looked a lot like him.
of.
So I think I would go with him. And plus, he gets angry like I used to get angry. It's more of a slow build,
Yeah, it's this
and then when
rolling boulder
I
of
pop.
incensement. Yeah.
Um, and as far as the period, I think I would. Boy, it's really hard not to look at your teenage years. The high school
Yeah.
years. Because even though all that shit was going down with my mom and dad, they died of cancer, so they died at home, and it was
Fuck.
really rough to watch. I don't remember most of it because I blocked it out, but I do remember that I had like four good buds who always took me out. When they went to the movies, they always paid my way because they knew we were broke. All of our money was going towards medicine, and we were barely paying the rent. But they always showed up with, "Hey, we're going to get some pizza. Come on. We're gonna go
Mm.
out and cruise. Come on. We're gonna go to the movies. Come on." And I remember I got a TV deal and I got a pretty decent check for it, and I was able to take those guys out to dinner. It was
Aw.
so cool because I was
Yeah.
able to say, "Hey, no, man, I got this." They were like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
big shot boy." And you're still 16 with your buddies from that long ago. It's you never feel like you're 60 with these guys. They'll bust your balls as soon as they see you, you know. And they tell you things that are flattering, but the way they say it sounds like they're busting your balls. If I
Yeah.
won an Oscar, they would go, "Oh, look, here comes Mr. Oscar guy.
Yeah.
Like, we're supposed to be proud of him. Don't get up there. We knew you were going to do it, so we're not surprised. So just calm down." They're just fun. I don't hang out with them that much, but when we do get together, it's like nothing ever.
That's so awesome.
It's I got like four of those guys, and I rarely talk to them, but they're the crown jewels of my friends, which is weird.
Do you So speaking about pizza, is there still a poor man luxury that you enjoy to this day?
Grilled cheese sandwich,
All right.
like
Hey,
on sourdough.
we're testing you. What else do we put on it? So we got sourdough. What kind of cheese?
I'm simple. I just go sourdough, butter, maybe some mayo on the
Okay.
inside, and just slow cook it,
What
and
cheese we
then
rocking?
just like Kraft singles. You know,
So not
I didn't even
so
know I
not a
didn't
grilled
know there
cheese, a
was
grilled
other
crab.
cheeses until I was like a friend of mine worked for a winery, and he says we got this beluga cheese and we got this veiny cheese that like I liked Kraft cheese singles, and that was my jam, and also Kraft mac and cheese.
I mean, that's just an
Was
American classic.
That's the first I learned to cook that, and cinnamon toast from the Charles Schultz book from one of the Peanuts book. It was full of recipes, and one of them was for cinnamon toast.
Oh,
And yeah, I had uh, I had lunch with Sparky
duh?
when I worked at the newspaper, and my sister was really excited about that job. I got to draw illustrations for stories, and I was really coming to my own as an artist. I finally found my groove and was working it. And she called up Schultz and she said, "Hey, my brother's a cartoonist. Would you mind seeing him and looking at his art?" And so he called the paper up, and I hung up on him. So I thought he was one of the reporters, Derek Moore, who was
Messing
always
with you or
busting my
something?
chops.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of a cool mix in that newsroom because I didn't go to college, and I
Uh,
was in a newsroom full of college grads.
yeah.
And my response was always, "Hey, I don't have your debt, and I make just as much as you do." and, uh, and it was fun. And I would go to like story meetings and hear their pitches, and they'd ask my opinion on it. I had two great editors who were helping me along in that. And so I came out of my room and out of my office, and I said, like, "Hey, good going, Derek." And he goes, "What? I'm on deadline." I see her right, and my phone rang. I go, "Is that you?" And he goes, "No." I said, "Oh, I just hung up on Charles Schultz." And I picked up the phone. I go, "Mr. Schultz." He goes, "I only do this once." I said, "Yeah, I thought you were another writer busting my chops." And I said, "I'd love to be you." So we went to the rink, and my friend drove me, and I was terrified. I had my art with me, and he was at the ice rink eating tapioca pudding. He had gray pants and a sweater vest. And he looked at my stuff. And at first, he goes, "Ew, all these scribbles in your background. I don't know if I like those at all." I was like, "Yeah." And then, well, I look at my friend. He's going, "Oh shit, I'm gonna watch my friend cry." And I said, "Well, I just draw them real big, so when you shrink it down, it kind of makes a neat pattern. It kind of makes the balloons pop." And then one of my reduced versions slipped out, and he looked at it and went, "Oh no, now I see what you mean. This actually is kind of cool." And we
Aw.
just talked about art for like 2 hours, and then we watched a bunch of little kids play hockey, which he thought was hilarious. And then he said, "It goes by quick." That's one thing I remember him saying. And then he signed I had this autobiography with me, Snoopy and Me, and he signed it into a Charlie Brown. That's one of my biggest
Oh,
collections.
yeah, that's so sweet.
I often pull that book out to show coworkers, or
Hell
if
yeah.
I'm teaching kids how to draw, I show them that book.
Oh, that's so
And
cool.
And I watched him draw, and his hand was shaking really bad. I said, when he saw my art, he just looked at it the way I would look at someone young who could run really fast and say, like, I used to run like that.
Aw.
Um, like melancholy. And he said, I used to have a line like that. I said, yeah, I know. And I said, so when the hand stuff happened, did you freak out? And he goes, I couldn't. I had to feed my family. I had to just
Uh-huh.
keep going. I hope people would not hate it. But it's pretty. Yeah, Sparky's almost has two camps. The old camp, which loves that old style and clean line he had, and
Mhm.
then there's the later generation where it was all scribbly and you got Miss Othmar and all these other. The cast was expanded and you know.
Mhm.
And on the way home, I was reading the book. I was reading his autobiography, and then there was a passage from the guy who did a comic strip called Rose's Rose.
Yeah.
I think his name is Jim McNamara.
Yeah.
And he wrote about going to see Schultz, saying my mom arranged a meeting with him. And I met him at the ice rink. He was wearing tan pants and a sweater vest and eating tapioca pudding.
Get the fuck out.
And I thought, how many thousands of times did he do this for people? And
Just
yet
like addicted to tapioca pudding and only has one
he
color of
just
clothes.
he has like a whole closet of his tan pants and sweater vest. And he puts it on and he goes, fucking kids, I gotta meet another stupid artist today. But he was very inquisitive about how young people drew. And yeah, he was kind of secluded, but he was also really cool.
That's so sweet. What life lesson do you wish you learned sooner?
Uh, that I could do it. That to not be afraid to tell the stories I want to tell. And you often think that people don't give a shit what comes out of your head because it's your head. What's so special about your head?
Mm-hmm.
And my father was there to tell me that because I used to be kind of shy as a kid. He got me a joke book and he said, if you can make someone laugh, they'll accept you quicker. And then he said, but if you do this drawing stuff, they come to you. You never have to go across the room, and they'll come and see what you're drawing. And I worked that pretty good. But that was a life lesson that I really wish I took more to heart. And to believe in myself. My dad would always take me to the fair and show me all the artwork that he thinks I would have beat if I
Hmm.
just entered it. But
Yeah.
my art has always been. I tell kids when I teach kids, I tell them that your art is your dog, and what you get out of your art depends on how you train your dog.
Hmm.
If I know people who have careers in graphic design, and they have like a German Shepherd police dog that wakes up when they do, and it does the job, and then when the job's over, you go ahead and relax and go to bed, and we'll see you at 9. And then my dog is a stoner frisbee dog that wants to go to the beach every day. You know? But people love them. People always want to pet them and see what the dog's doing. But if you want something on deadline, good Lord, it, it'll. I'll wait until the day it's due
Yeah.
and then cram it out. But it's really is. So for me, I never wanted to make cartooning this job that I was going to hate because it got me through too much in life.
Mm.
And the same as I didn't want to have kids because I know what it's like to lose your parents early, and I can't guarantee that that wouldn't happen to me and my family.
Mm.
So I kind of backed off from having kids for that reason. I didn't want the responsibility. And I didn't want to just like disappear all of a sudden
Yeah.
on the kid and mess that kid up the way it messed me up. So cartooning has always been my dog, and it's also my characters are my kids. I
Oh.
hear them. I know what all their voices sound like. I know what all their idiosyncrasies are. And when we sit down to do a comic book, it's like we're all at a Saturday Night Live table read
Hmm.
and going over ideas and stuff. And I don't know, just believe in yourself, I think would have been the thing I would have told myself to believe in more. That I was
Yeah.
better than I thought I was.
So, talking about all these occupations, is there a job that at some point in your life you wanted to pursue but are very glad you didn't?
Stand-up comedy. I did it for maybe a year, and I didn't like the fact that you had to travel all over the fucking place. And I didn't like the amount of drinking I was doing because
Yeah.
it happens. You know, you're doing a highly stressful thing that's fun, but
Yeah, you're doing stressful thing, late night
yeah.
environment where a lot of alcohol is being sold. And some I've heard recently that sometimes they'll like give you free drinks or that it's like kind of
Oh
encouraged or
yeah,
sometimes you
sometimes
have
you
to
don't get paid
buy
anything. It's
drinks.
just a chance to go up there and perform. And
Yeah.
so they'll pay you in like a something to eat and a drink. But afterwards, people if you had a good night, people buy you drinks and stuff. And
Yep.
then you wake up the next day and you're wasted. And I didn't want to have a career where I'm waking up in hotel rooms every day,
Yeah.
you know, if it worked. And because at the time they had comedy clubs on every corner. This
Mhm.
is like the 80s, the mid 80s. And HBO had comedy stuff going on, and it was a big boon. And then it just collapsed
Yep.
because you couldn't keep it going. Um, but I always thought it'd be kind of fun to try it for like Saturday Night Live and that kind of stuff. But um, to me, with the cartooning, I could be funny and just stay at home
Yeah.
and not have to travel and not to. And once I discovered pot, I wanted nothing to do with drinking anymore. I found my niche. I didn't need
Mm.
cocaine was big back then also, and uh, a lot of people would do like speed to stay awake if you're going up there late. Sometimes you go up there really late, and it's just a hard life. And but at the same time, when I watch a comedian, I love it when a comedian is having some difficulty on stage, and they work through it, or they test like Bill Burr tests an audience better than as
I
good
got
as Carlin did.
yeah,
I
that
mean,
guy's amazing.
he loves it when the audience goes, ugh. Like he knows he's lost them for a bit, and he's gonna
Yeah.
pull them back in a second. Um, yeah, I had very much a Bill Burr, Louis C.K. vibe to my comedy. I didn't tell jokes; I just told stories about my family, and just embarrassing stories.
The best kind.
And maybe cooking. I love to cook, and I thought maybe I wanted to be a chef for a while. But it always came back to me, well, I can't draw if I'm cooking, you know, around the clock. So screw
Yeah.
that gig.
So speaking of cooking, if you were a condiment, which do you think you'd be?
I'd be mustard
Just
because,
regular old
yeah,
French's
yellow
mustard?
mustard. Because you're gonna run me down the hot dog before you put the chili on, and you start going, what is up with that flavor? And you put the mustard on one side of the smash burger, so when you flip it, it cooks also. And you use it in egg salad. All the food I like has some degree of mustard in it. You know, I wouldn't want to be ketchup because it's just too sweet. It's just too, mustard also has that edge to it that, you know,
Ketchup's a square, mustard is an
and it's
edgy.
been known to murder people too. So it's even better also. They didn't use ketchup gas in the war. It was mustard gas. And I like when the mustards. I also like when the mustards in bloom. It's
Yeah.
one of the. I drove by this field that had like shitloads of mustard in bloom, and in there they had like three different bridal shoots going on.
Wow.
Where one bride was over here in this section of mustard, they're taking her photo, and another one in this section, they're taking her photo, and they're all squatting down like they're in. I thought like I'm gonna go in there and just squat also and have a photo taken. The sea of mustard.
Well, speaking of mustard flowers, what inanimate object would you be best friends with were it sentient?
Pencil. Pencil. I have a drawer. I have this Tupperware bin that has drawers in it.
Hmm.
And one of the last things that my sister did, um, I lost her 5 years ago. But she went to help me move once, and she pulled this drawer, the middle drawer out. And I would use Prismacolor non-photo blue pencils And when I would sharpen them down to where I couldn't get them in the sharpener anymore, I would
Mm-hmm.
toss them in that drawer. And so she goes, "Do you want me to throw these away?" I go, "Why?" She goes, "Well, do you still use them?" I went, "Well, not really." She goes, "So I'll junk them." I said, "No, they did their job. They go in the drawer." And she goes,
That's so sweet.
"You're not gonna throw them away." I said, "Why?" And then my niece goes, "I seen a machine that you could put all your pencils in there and it'll grind them up, and make new pencils for you." And I was like, "You fucking animal! Why would I grind up? They did their job.
These are my friends.
They're little stumpies now. They all hang out together and talk about
Yeah.
the old days and all the drawings they worked on, how many pages they did." And my sister just looked at me. She goes, "You have an emotional attachment to these." I went, "I kind of do." She goes, "Oh my God. They're just pencils." I went, "Nope, not when you look at the art."
Not to me.
Yeah, so it would definitely be that. Um,
That's so awesome. All right. Well, we're gonna have to send it to commercial break, but before we do, if you could have listeners of this podcast hear one song you're choosing, which would it be?
um, oh man, that's a tough one. One song. "Sympathy for the Devil." That's the song. I'm a Stones guy.
Who's your preferred Stone? Is it Richard or are you
It used to be Mick, but then I read Richard's book called Life
mhm.
that he wrote, so he didn't use a ghostwriter for it. And now Keith is my favorite. I also like Charlie quite a bit because when he plays drums, he's so debonair. He's a mixture of being sophisticated and wanting nothing to do with these guys. He looks so like these children are so, like if it was your uncle up there going, "Just don't
Yeah.
embarrass me on stage," and you immediately start embarrassing him on stage. That's what it's like. And I like that Keith has this resentment towards Mick about writing "Sympathy for the Devil." That he said, out of all the things I created, he still made the best song. And he wrote it in like one night and came home. It's got to have bongos. It's got to have this and that. And how they're walking along the street in England one time, and Mick sees a castle, and he says, "I like that castle. I think I might buy it." And Keith said, "You already have a castle." And they grew up stone poor.
Yeah.
And he says, as soon as that sentence came out of my mouth, I realized I never dreamed I would ever have that come out of my mouth. It's, you already own a castle.
That's awesome.
One of the best books I've read was Life.
I mean, just the title alone just makes it a great read.
Yeah, and it's just a white cover. There's no bells and whistles on it, but it's thick. It's a big book, and holy cow, the stories he has in there are just. And it's also he opens up about, he knows he's ugly. He knows he's not good looking, so you go into music because that's where all the girls go on. And then it worked, and they were dating supermodels all of a sudden. They were marrying supermodels, and they hang out with the Who, and they hang out with the Beatles, and they hang out with, you name it. But they also got an asshole on their band who likes to knock women around. And he didn't hold anything back in that book. Whereas Mick, his autobiography was written by someone else. So there's a lot of Mick says,
Mm-hmm.
and according to Jagger, whereas Keith just says, "So we're in a jail cell in the South, and we realize that our jackets are lined with cocaine, and so is the car. They're trying to get a warrant to search the car, and our agent's calling the judge to bribe them to not allow the warrant.
Yeah.
And we're wearing blouses, and we're all. It's one of the greatest openings to a book. It's just so good."
All right. Well, as well as this song, we'll have to all check that out. But we're going to have to first throw it to commercial break. Feel free to stick around and enjoy the totally real commercial, or take a minute to enjoy Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones. Or if you really wanted to hear a song from a previous episode, check out the playlist on Spotify. Passionate People and Preposterous Beefs Podcast, Song Rex. It's a long title, I know. Don't worry, there's a link in the description. Either way, see you in a jiffy. Having trouble staying awake?
Oh, yeah.
Wish you'd followed your dream so you had the give a crap necessary to meet your deadlines?
Oh, definitely.
Are you likely to be fired the second another warm body walks through that door and asks your boss for an application?
I mean, probably.
Would you prefer to keep this shit sack of a job instead of explaining to Susan that you've been fired?
I guess.
Well, then let me introduce you to caffeine. Caffeine is a highly addictive substance that'll keep you jittery and energized to do any fucking stupid task for hours.
Uh, that sounds like drugs.
It is!
Aren't drugs illegal?
Not this one. So next time you feel like sitting on the sidewalk instead of at your desk, reach for a caffeine.
Wait, you didn't tell me where I can buy it.
'Cause it's mother loving everywhere, you blind Neanderthal. Welcome back, everybody. So, Tom, what is your passion?
Gotta be art. I I get up at 8. I get to the coffee shop around 8:30. Smoke up in the car, and then I draw from like 8 to noon on just pages or just drawings or sketch covers. Something has to get done in that time. And then if I do that, my day's great. Like I work at a hotel, so I feel like if I could do this thing for me in the morning first, I can do customer service no problem because I've already satisfied myself. Um, and it's just like it's like when people go running and they get a runner's high. I get one off finishing a page that really makes sense, or where the characters really shine, and oh, there's no better feeling to me than getting a page done.
That's awesome.
And I got pages. I would say off the book I just finished, there's probably 60 pages I didn't use that I loved that are
Whoa.
just really cool scenes, but you can't use them all. So you kind of save them for the next book, and you mix them into the next book. But lately I've been on a good run, creatively.
So, for those who don't know, where can they find your comics, for starters?
Nowhere. My stuff is, you can read my stuff digitally. If you have a Comicology, you can go to Marvel and just Google my name, BELAND, and you'll get like my Wolverine story. You'll get my Fantastic Four stories. I did a book called Web of Romance for Spider-Man that was in February. They had an event called I Heart Marvel, and they would have every week they'd have a new book about a different couple, and they asked if I would be part of it. And I said, yeah, but I thought I was going to get like, Rogue and Gambit or some couple I didn't really know that very well.
Mhm.
And I got Spider-Man Mary Jane, and I flipped out. And I read a really cool story in that one. He's trying to find a Valentine gift for Mary Jane, but he's also looking back at his life and realizing that Mary Jane was always the better fit than Gwen was, because Gwen always needed to be rescued.
Hmm.
And Mary Jane didn't. She beat up Jonathan Caesar, her stalker, and she took care of her dad who was drunk. And that he didn't mess with her. And so I really played it from the part of what if I was a Spider-Man and what if my wife was Mary Jane? And I don't think we had any edits on that book. I think it's just, here's a script, go to art, done. And it got a really nice review because the other ones kind of hovered on not being too great. And then I was really proud that mine came out and got a really good reaction. I tend to get some pretty good reactions on my books. There's not a ton of them, but the people seem to like what there are, And then you can also, I see my stuff on Amazon every now and then. I think
Yeah,
they basically go to
I'm seeing
publishers, they clear out the.
Chicacabra's on here.
Yeah.
True Story, Swear to God.
Truth or Swear to God could almost give you diabetes because it was written in real time when I met somebody. And so it wasn't like I'm looking back 20 years and writing from that. It was like, hey, this week, this is going to be the next book. And so you are in love, and it is saccharine. And when you first fall in love with somebody, it is dopamine city. But then I think I also wrote it was romance from a guy's point of view. So that while I was making fun of myself, I made sure I made fun of her also equally.
Hmm.
That it wasn't just I didn't like it when the guy was the idiot and the girl always had the answers.
Hmm. Yeah,
You know,
very
where he's the
imbalanced.
emotional idiot
Yeah.
and she's got it together. There are times when she has no idea what she's doing. And so it was a fun book to do. I had a thing in San Diego once where this couple came to my table. I was at the image booth. And she mentioned this scene where I was at my parents' gravesite before I moved to Puerto Rico. And it was the first time I ever left Napa. And so I didn't like going to this spot because I don't like to think of them as being in the dirt,
Yeah.
you know, and that kind of thing. But I wanted to sort of see the stone and be able to say goodbye and stuff. And it was really hard to write. It was very emotional. So she's telling me about this page, this woman, and she starts getting really emotional. And she goes, "It felt like you were writing right out of my life. That's how I've gone through that." And she starts crying, and so her husband's trying to console her. And I'm next to Keith Knight, and who's sort of my Obi-Wan. He does a strip called The K Chronicles and Think. And we both know that in my portfolio bag, I have that page
Yeah.
that she's talking about. So Keith looks at me and rubs his fingers like, money. And I pulled it out and I said, is that the one you're talking about? And she's still just yammering
Hmm.
and just going, oh. And so he says, the husband says, yeah, that's the one. And I said, oh, cool. He says, um, I said, what's her name? And her name was Anna or something like that. So I said, true Anna, take care of my baby. I looked at Keith, I just handed it over to the husband. And he goes, oh, that is the page. He says, oh, wow, here's for you. And he says, oh, we don't have any money, man. We paid for gas and food to get here, and then the tickets cost, and we had to get a hotel, so I broke. And I said, you can't afford free? And he goes, are you kidding me? I said, no, this has been in a box in my closet. I'd rather have it go up on your wall and have it
Aw.
appreciated.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, she's still going, la, 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 la. And so he shows her the page. He goes, look what he gave you. And she goes, oh my God, that's the page. That's exactly, oh my God, I can't believe I'm holding it. And so he goes, it's yours. And she goes, oh, we don't have any money. We pay for the gas and the food and everything. And so now we're all just laughing, going, well, if you'd listen, it says right here, take care of my baby. And then she gave me this hug, and
Aw.
everyone was applauding, and it was really cool. And I happened to have a sleeve to put that page into. And it was like it was her baby carrying it around.
Aw.
And then we took photos and they left. And so I sat down, and it was really a cool feeling. I looked at Keith, and I said, I would have spent that money in 2 seconds on something stupid. But I'll never forget this. He goes, yeah, I'll give you that one. That was pretty good.
To rewind time a little bit, when do you first remember drawing like in the comic style?
I think I always did because I always read comics. Either comic books or back then was the newspaper comics like Alley Oop.
Mm-hmm.
I was a fan of Gordo. I was a fan of Bringing Up Father. And I wasn't so
Peanuts.
much the Blondie because I felt Blondie was overhyped. Like I didn't like the stuff that everybody else liked. I liked the nuggets that they weren't looking at. BC by Johnny Hart and Shoe, those comics.
Oh,
So
Shoe. I loved
when I
Shoe.
would and a lot of these guys also did political cartoons. So I would look over and the guys who did Shoe were also making these political cartoons that were awesome. Um, and I would try to do my own comics in 3 panels, and they were horrible. But it was me trying. And then I think when I got to the newspaper, because I was originally a paste-up artist, I would take the grocery ad and then find in the art books broccoli and steak and ribeye and make photocopies, run them through a waxer, and then put them on the ad to go out to press. And I did a lot of ads.
This was for the newspaper.
Yeah.
How old were you when
Did
you
a,
first did this?
I was, see, I think it was late 80s, so I was probably about 28,
And
25 to 28,
so
I think.
from childhood to mid to late 20s, you were just doing this for the love of the game?
Yeah, I had teachers who didn't mind that I was doing comic book stuff. As long as I got the assignment done also, I could spend the rest of the class doing my own shit. So I learned to blow through assignments really fast. And that's what kind of built up my speed for drawing, was the fact that you go, fine, I'll draw the shoe. But there it goes. I'm going to go back and draw the cast of roots and do my own thing.
Yeah.
And long conversations with my art teacher, Chuck Spencer at Napa High. He was he's one of the guys that got me through high school, through all that shit I was going through. He had a policy where if I ever wanted to come in and draw, no matter what time of day it was, I didn't have to tell the teachers about it. I could just go right to art class and get myself a table and draw. And so when I was doing this waxing stuff, one day I saw the editorial people, and they were kind of freaking out. And this reporter is crying, and she says she's sorry. The photographer's pissed off, and she opened the door to the darkroom and blew the negatives for the page one story on going shark hunting.
Oh, fuck.
And plus they have this giant hole on page. This is when you used to do it by hand.
Yeah.
This giant hole for the art, and it's just blank. And so I go up there, and the editor, Doug Wilkes, really cool guy with long black hair and always dressed nice. He was kind of running his fingers through his hair, and I go, "What's up?" He says, I have a gray lady. I go, "What is just a gray lady?" It's when you have nothing but text on your front page. And you get in trouble for that shit.
Yeah.
And so I go, "What's the problem?" I go, he says, "Well, you see the woman screaming over there? She blew the negatives on the other guy who's screaming at her. And instead of screaming, we should figure out how to solve the problem." I said, "Why don't you just put some art in there?" He goes, "Yeah, I'll go to my big book of shark drawings." And I said, "Well, you have to be a dick about it. When's this have to be ready by?" He goes, "It has to be ready in an hour." I said, "Oh." I go, What am I going to do with the other 30 minutes? He goes, "Can you draw us something?" I said, "Yeah, I can do something." So I went back to my table, and I drew this picture of a shark. This is before the internet. My guess of a shark and this guy in a boat, and he's in silhouette. And so I went and got some amberlit film. And I said, "Here, you could even put blue over the whole thing, and it'll give you some color." And it fit in the spot perfectly. It went to press. We made deadline, and I got to press the button on the press on the printers.
Awesome.
And we were watching the press run, and Doug looked at those. He looked at me and he yelled, "What do you do here?" I said, "I do ads. I paste up ads." And he looks at me and he goes, "Not anymore, you don't." So he walked off. And then I watched my boss, Carl, get called into the publisher's office with Doug. And I heard them yelling at each other, saying, "Get out of here. I have found this guy. I got to use him to do it. He's more valuable for editorial, blah, blah, blah." And one of the writers came up and she said, "That's about you." I went, "Yeah, I've never had that done before." So two people fought over me. Because I always had minimum wage jobs.
Yeah.
And then Doug came out and says, "Hey, get your stuff and climb the wall." There's like a wall of filing cabinets that separated advertising from editorial. He says, "Go across the wall. You're in editorial now." And I loved it. As soon as I sat at my desk, I loved every second of it, of learning how to read a story to find the things that you can pull for stories. Learning how everything I learned in my ninth grade journalism class is what I used in this job. And it worked perfectly. And then another paper hired me. The Vallejo Times Herald liked what I was doing and called me in. And they said I had to take a drug test. I said, "Well, that cup is gonna float across the room because I smoke a lot of weed. And so they said, just go take the test, and then I still got hired. And so whenever they would have interviews, they would call me in so I could tell them, hey, we take drugs seriously here, and you got to take a test. I hope you're okay with it. And we just love the fact that I was the guy asking for that. And it made me feel valuable because they didn't care.
Yeah.
And we don't give a shit. We want what you do. And the editor asked me to help him redesign the paper, which I'd never done before. We did that. And it was a really cool, 15 years of a career that was just great. And when I got out, everything was starting to fall apart for papers. Where they don't even like the Press Democrats. Not even made here. It's sent to Wisconsin, and they make it over there, and it's brought back. It's a shame. I come from when editors still smoked in the newsroom, and they still had, the drink in the drawer. And when deadline hit, they'd pull their bottles out and have a drink and have a smoke and talk shit. And it was amazing. It was a great time. Every job I've had has been pretty great.
So after 15 years, what did you do next?
Well, they sent me to Disney World to cover the opening of the Animal Kingdom opening because I didn't have kids. And they said, can you go and write a fluff piece? They'll give you a week at Disney for free. I went, yeah. So I went there, and I'd never been there before, and it was just amazing. It's Tree of Life is being assembled, and we're seeing all the acts ahead of time. We're tasting all the foods and stuff. And there was this girl at a bus stop, and I said hi to her, and she said hi. She was from Puerto Rico, and we hung out all night. And then I thought it was in China, Puerto Rico. I had no idea what Puerto Rico was. Because on the West Coast, you don't stay there. You stay in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And
thought it was in China.
then I went to go see her, and it was hot and humid. And I almost collapsed, and it was just... But it was weird. I felt like that dude from that show called Northern Exposure when he goes to Alaska. And it's just weird. And I didn't have anything to do because my wife did TV and radio, so I did the housework and I cooked, which made me feel like I was kind of, I don't know, kind of like reconnecting with my mom because she ran the household.
Oh.
I could see what she went through, so it was really cool. It was cool to make a dinner that when my wife came home, you could see she loved to smell the food when she came home. That feeling of like, oh my God, dinner's ready. And she always had turned down service on the bed. She always had the chocolate on the pillow. For 22 years, I did that for her. And so once we dated for a while, I told my boss I was gonna move, and yeah, it was a good move, but it wasn't easy because I didn't know Spanish that well. I wasn't ready for the heat at all, and the humidity. It'll be 2 a.m. and still 105 degrees and humid. And mosquitoes are really bad. I got dengue a couple times. I got all these things off mosquitoes. But the people on that island were phenomenal, and they accepted my books. They accepted my... It was weird that this gringo's writing all these stories about their island, and I'm finding things they never wrote about. Like chupacabras and just little things. And then I did my own books. She talked me into doing my own books, and I did True Stories for the God comics for a while, and then Marvel liked how I wrote couples, and they gave me Fantastic Four, and they gave me Spider-Man, and then I wrote The Simpsons a couple times, and it was pretty quick. But I also suffer from anxiety and depression, so the better a book did, I was more worried about the next book. And do I have to meet that, or am I allowed to do something completely different that might not work? And I just made books that my rule was I don't put the book out unless I would put something down to buy it as a customer. Like if I go to the store with $20,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna get my Spider-Man. that's going to happen. And then a couple other books, but then there's all the ones that are left over. What are you going to choose from? You're going to put down Human Target, which I love, or am I going to put down Defenders, or the new Iron Man? And if the answer was no, then I would figure out why. I would reread it and put post-it notes. This is dragging here. Change this. And then I would release it. But whenever I released a book, that island was big time into buying them. And the Fantastic Four books were crazy sales. I mean, we had a line out of the comic shop, in the mall, down the mall, outside the mall, and around the block to get those Puerto Rican and Spanish Fantastic Four books.
Damn.
And I never see them available on eBay either. I've been trying to get myself a set of those books because I gave all mine away.
Yeah.
And then I also had a thing. A friend of mine, Kenyatta, and I went to see Black Panther, the movie. And she's black, and I was going to do a cartoon about her experience as a black woman seeing this movie. And when the movie was over, she was just staring at the screen. And she goes, that battle, that final battle? And I go, yeah. She goes, all those people on the screen, I could have been the little dot on the hillside where you don't even know who that is. That could have been me. And the person right up against the camera where you only see their eyeball, that could have been me, and everything between could have been me. She said, do you know how rare that is for me to go to a movie like that?
Mm.
She goes, maybe The Wiz, as far as a big
Yeah.
budget,
Mm.
And she goes, that was very emotional to watch. And so we went to coffee, and she was talking about the movie, and I did this cartoon drawing. It was a rough of these two black kids looking at the movie poster with Black Panther and Shuri on it. And they're pointing at the poster, and they both point, and at the bottom of the quotes it says, that's me.
Yep.
And I handed it to her to look at, and she goes, oh my God, I love that. I said, yeah, I'm going to take it home and ink it in and fix the lines and get the border straight. And she goes, I hate when you do that. Just put it on Facebook. Who cares if it's finished or not?
Yeah.
I said, well, I'm the artist, and I kind of like my stuff looking polished. And she goes, oh, it's so stupid. I said, okay, fine. I'll post this so much I get like 10 people who are going to like it. And then we were talking some more, and I noticed my phone was just going, and I thought maybe I turned it off. I flipped it over, and I went, I have 800 shares. She goes, what? And I've never had, if I have 100 people liking my stuff, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Maybe I get 5 or 10 shares. And then as I'm looking, the numbers going. Like 800, 825, 826, 827, 800. And she says, oh my God, this is going to go viral. And I said, oh my God, it was a rough. This is exactly what I wanted to do it better. And so then I went to teach a class, and my students were like, oh my God, that drawing you did is up to, 900. When we hit like 10,000,
Wow.
they were going nuts. So now they were following it. And I said, if it gets to 1 million, we'll go get hamburgers and watch it go to 1 million. So we did that. We all got hamburgers and looked at our phones, and it went 1.1. And the people in the movie saw it. The costume designer, I think she first saw it, and then she reposted it. And then someone said, hey, man, Michael B. Jordan retweeted your cartoon and loved it.
Aw.
I went, Michael Jordan? Oh, my God. So I was going to repost it, and
Yeah.
I was going to say, I believe I can fly.
And
I stopped and
corrected
went,
you.
let me make sure this is the right Michael Jordan real quick first. And I went, oh, it's not. And then I went, oh, plus that song. And so, yeah, Marvel bought it. Marvel called, and when it hit 1 million, my editor at Marvel called. As soon as I answered,
cool.
I said, you're kidding me. And he says, no, we want to use it. I said, well, let me go back and tighten it up and get the border straight. And he says, no, we want what they saw. I said, that took like 20 minutes. And so he said, like, well, you get paid the full amount. So,
That's
but the sales on that was ridiculous too. It just flew off the shelves. And
awesome. I
I think
remember seeing that one when it was coming out. I was like,
I have one copy that's slabbed. It's the only time I ever bought a slabbed comic.
yeah.
And that's because I want a good version of it. So I have that. It was a crazy little thing, and it just had a life of its own. It was just really weird to watch people respond to it and get emotional over it.
I'll
There was a
bet.
lot of, I'm going to buy this for my kid when he gets older, he'll see it type of thing.
Yeah.
A lot of men bought it. I had one man who, I was in Houston doing a signing, and he was a big, huge drill sergeant guy.
Mm.
And he comes up, and when I signed it, he said, I'm going to give this to my boy when he gets older. And I had the boy I put down, and he said, that's daddy. And the dude got like really emotional. You know when a man doesn't want to cry in front of people?
Yeah.
Did a lot of that. And so he went off somewhere, and I said, I'll be right back. I have to go get killed, I think. And so I said, you okay? And he goes like, yeah, man. And I said, I didn't mean to do that. And he says, no, you're good. He says, it's that I'm always deployed. I'm never home.
Mm.
But when I get home, my son loves me and can't wait to see me. And sometimes I don't know why. And I said, well, did your dad know why you loved him? He goes, oh, probably not. And I said, like, but you did, didn't you? And he says, yeah. I said, well, then that's what matters. You just know that he does. Who cares why? Like,
That's
who gives a shit why? And so I go, but man, I can't watch you cry because now I'm crying. And so I go, why can't we go back? Why are we hiding in a book aisle? We're supposed to be able to do this in public. And so he's laughing, and we still talk. He still just sends me a thing on my birthday. Sends me a note saying happy birthday. And I've had numerous little moments like that in my career that were just had nothing to do with money. Were just awesome times that I never forgot the person. That'll last longer with me than if I sell something for $100 or $200.
right.
Yeah, I get excited for the sale, but I know that money's going to go into gas or something stupid. But if I have a connection with the person,
Yeah.
that'll always last with me.
Money is momentary. Moments are forever.
But so are orgasms, and they're fantastic.
Touche. Touche.
You know.
So,
And
what would you say is the biggest misconception about comic book artistry and creation by the wider world?
that were cool, hip people, and they were making money. And that because if you see a movie that you're making bucks also off it, which isn't the case. Um, and Marvel made on Winter Soldier, they made $3 billion off that character, and the guy who created the character got $3,000 for writing the book and nothing more.
Oh
So
wow.
there's not a lot of this unless you own the property. Like on Shiga Carver, I own the property, so I got the full option money. But
Hmm.
I made a character for Marvel that's Puerto Rican and goofy looking, but if you put that in a kids' cartoon show, the kids are all going to go, "What's that weird thing in the back there?" And then
yeah.
here come the T-shirts, and here come the plushie toys, and here comes the miniseries, here comes his own show, here comes the movie, and you don't see any of that money.
Oh.
But Marvel also gives me a boner, so I don't say no because it's who doesn't want to play center field for the Giants for a couple of games, even if it's just to fill in for an injury, It's
yeah.
but if I had to write that stuff every month, I would lose my shit. I would probably not like comics anymore
Hmm.
because I like my gang. I like
Yeah.
the
Your
gang I travel
speed.
with. Yeah, they
Yeah.
know my shit, and they know it's more. I don't have to go asking permission if I do this or that with my characters. I just do it.
Yeah. On the flip reverse of that, what's your favorite non-obvious aspect to cartoon artistry?
The response, I think. Like I go to these. There's a guy in town named Jake Ward. He does he does these how come I can't remember the name of it, the burlesque shows
Yeah.
at the Whiskey Tip. And I met Jake. I just brought my drawing pad over there, and I said I want to draw the performers if you don't mind. He goes, no, grab a chair. And I drew them, and then the performers liked the art quite a bit, and they would buy the art off me, or I would just post it on Instagram, and I would get a lot of followers from that. And that's been about 3 years I've been doing these. He does like maybe 3 a year, so I've been with him for a number of years, and now I always love the fact that I bring my tablet with me. And if anyone's sitting behind me, the show starts, the lights go out. But my screen can be kind of a bit much sometimes. It's pretty bright.
Mm-hmm.
And I will always hear people behind me going, oh God, someone's got their iPad out. So fucking annoying. And then I'll draw that performer, and the next thing you hear him says, did you see that? He just drew that guy in 2 seconds. And then they watch both the show and me. And it's the time now when I walk in, they know who I am. The performers know who I am, and we're good friends that way too. And I mean, they're gorgeous women too. And who doesn't want a gorgeous woman come saying that they like what you do? At 60, are you kidding me? To have a 28-year-old woman in a burlesque costume saying "Get my good side" and wink, and yeah, that I mean, that'll hang with you for 2 weeks. Also, it'll make you feel like you're 20 again.
Yeah, make you feel like you own at least one castle.
We're simple creatures, man. It doesn't take much. If just let a woman I find attractive just smile and like my shit, and I'll be happy for a long, long time, man.
So, it's not often, but sometimes in movies and TV shows, they'll show kind of freelance artists or comic book artists. How do you believe they show it correctly or incorrectly in your noticing?
I think it's the way they portray the creative process that we sit in front of a canvas and go, like we're conductors. And just whipping the brush around, and then they stop and look at it, maybe. When it's really just a lot of like, it's a coffee shop at a table, and it's just making little lines with a pen. And all of a sudden, things start connecting more. You're looking at a blank page, and it's daunting, but it's also thrilling because anything can go on that. It could be a sci-fi page. It could be a comedy. It could be romance. It could be smut. It could be superheroes. It could be anything. I was in a book called, I was asked to draw for a book called Smut Peddler. And these are women who write pornography, and then they look for artists that don't normally do that type of thing and try to get them to illustrate their stories. And Trisha Sebastian came to me, and this is when I was really the romance guy. And she said, I would love it if you would look at this story because I think it would push your boundaries. And I was like, I can't draw this stuff. I'll watch it. I'm not going to draw and put my name on it. And then I just kind of looked at it and I thought, this is kind of a cool thing to try, though. And so I did. So I did it, and it came out, and it was every now and then I'll get a woman come up for me to sign one of those books. There'll be like a couple of true story books, and right underneath it is Smut Peddler. And it's really cool because it's this little thing I did that no one really knows about, but people seem to like how it came out. And I always appreciate Trisha for, that's an intimate thing to get someone your story and say, can you draw this? And hope you do a good job. And it's one of the reasons why I do everything on my books. I do the writing and art and everything, so I don't have those talks. I don't have someone saying, I'm not drawing this shit.
Yeah.
Although there are times when I'm drawing a scene that, like, I'm not good with perspective, and yet I'll do the side of a church in San Juan, and I want it to look just like that church, and so I spent a painstaking amount of time on it, to where in my head, I'll go, God, who ordered this fucking church scene? And that's the other side of my brain is the writer and says, I ordered that. Shut up and just get it done. Or when I have to draw it, there's a scene that involves a car, for God's sakes. I go, a car? Why do we have to have a car in this? And my other half goes, like, because we need a car. They're in a fucking car. You do it, but it's like there's an artist-writer argument in my head constantly about why do you want me to draw this? Or what it'd be great if you put more palm trees in it. Shut up. And you put it in, you go like, yeah, it does look better. And it's equal. It's the writer side and the artist side. I'm never a writer artist one person. It's always, I have an idea where she goes to the store and she has to buy ginger because she doesn't know what ginger is and she's embarrassed because her uncle's a chef. And then the other artist goes, I'm not gonna draw the inside of a grocery store. Fuck that shit. And they do it and you go, hey, I drew the inside of a grocery store today. Like I'm the first one amazed, like, holy cow, that's almost a car.
So to switch gears a bit and go from something so delightful to something so damn annoying, Mr. Tom Belland, what is your preposterous peeve?
The speakerphones on phones. When people are like, they want to watch a video clip and they just put the sound on instead of putting on some headphones. It drives me fucking nuts. You already have people talking. You got music piped in. And those phones are always like, you don't know what they're doing, but the noise is just, I hate that. I hate getting a burger with a greasy bun where the bun is kind of soggy. That'll make me gag. People who don't know how to make French fries drive me nuts.
Do you have a story where any of these one moments kind of stood out the most?
I will gag if a bun's soggy. Like my ex knew this about me, and we got invited to a dinner, and it was a barbecue, and the guy was making hamburgers. And I don't like those 6-inch thick patties. I like a nice thin hamburger patty. Don't go crazy on my burger. And the guy put like onions in it, and he's making a meatloaf basically. And I told my wife, I said, I don't know if I want to eat this. And so he gave me the plate, and as soon as I touched the bottom of the hamburger, it was just soggyville. And I looked at her and I said, feel the burger right here. She goes, oh my God. She goes, you gotta eat it. And so I tried one, and it was just in my mouth for like 5 minutes. Like it was like stillborn in my mouth. And every time I tried to swallow it, it would go, like push it back up. Like, no, thank you. You know we don't take this. And I'm going, yes, we do. And she had so much fun watching me try to work this burger down because I was trying to be a trooper with it.
Mm-hmm.
That if the person, if someone makes food for you, it's hard to say no, thank you, don't do that.
Yeah.
But we got in the car, and I just, when you didn't throw up, but you feel like you did.
Yeah.
Just in the car. She goes, are you okay? I went, oh my God, I ate so much soggy bread tonight. She was like, I know, I'm so proud of you. I went, don't be proud of me because I'm going to hurl. Let's not talk about the soggy bread anymore. And I'll tell you something I did that made me husband of the year, to where she went on their show and said I was husband of the year. We had a three level house where the bottom level was the living room, and it was sort of sunken. You go down some steps to go into it.
Yeah.
And I told her one day, the bedroom was on the top floor, and I said, hey, how about some blueberry pancakes today? I'll make them. And she goes, oh my God, that'd be great. So I go to make open the door, and there was a stench that I had never smelled in my life. And I slammed the door shut. I went, oh my God. I think like a rat died or something, and you can smell the carcass. And she opens the door. She goes, "Oh, that's not a rat." She, oh my God, what is it? So we go downstairs, and our septic line broke,
Oh no.
and we had septic water in the downstairs living room. That was maybe half an inch, and it was horrendous. And so she's looking at me, and she goes, "What are we gonna do?" And I looked at that, and I said, "Here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna go downstairs, get in the car, and you can go have lunch with your mom, because we only have one squeegee, and I don't want to be hearing you talking about how gross it smells. I need to put my head down and get this done." And all of the houses in Puerto Rico come with a drain in your living room, so, and it's all, there's never carpet. It's all hard, like cement,
Mhm.
because of the hurricanes. So I'm upstairs looking up how to clean up septic water. And I got a rag and I put some, I think it was bleach, and then put it in front of my face. And then got the squeegee and just started hosing and washing and hosing. And I got it down. And it turned out that someone put a campaign sign in our yard. And when they hammered it into the ground, they severed our
Oh,
septic line.
son of a bitch.
And I had to bleach the furniture legs, and I bleached the floor. And man, if anyone ever murders anyone, I think I could be a cleaner, because I could be a fixer. And so she came home, and you wouldn't have known something happened. We couldn't use our bathroom because we had the lines turned off until they were able to fix it.
Mm.
And the next day she went on her show. She goes, "Let me tell you something about my husband." And then if I walked around San Juan, women would just look at me and go, "Tom, saludos. Oh my God, you're the best. Oh my God." And then she took me out for like a steak dinner that night too. It's like she fed me good. But that was one of the worst things I'd ever gone through on that island, was that septic thing. That was gross.
Well, thanks for reliving that with us. That was great. And
That's
with
my
that,
biggest pet peeve, is when people put campaign signs through a septic line.
sounds reasonable.
Don't ever go through it.
All right, with that, we're going to head to our second ad break, but don't go anywhere, because when we get back, Tom is going to enter the lightning round. Have you ever wanted to kill a small woodland creature or break a window but not had the physical strength? I know I have. Now introducing Rock. Rock comes in a variation of sizes and ready to use. Simply put Rock in your hand, raise it back to ear level, and release. See? You've got it! This ad does not condone the violence against small woodland creatures or windows, nor will it be held liable for any inability of use when coming into contact with paper. And we're back. Tom, are you ready to enter?
The lightning round.
I think I am.
All right, put however much time it takes to bake this cookie on the clock. Tom, is there a price for you to give up your passion forever?
For art? No.
Make the food or do the dishes?
Ooh. I clean when I cook. As I'm cooking, I tend to clean, so
Both.
definitely cooking more than doing dishes.
Did you ever cheat on a test in school?
Oh shit, yeah. Yeah, I had friends when my parents were sick. I had friends who would just like say, "Hey, by the way, here are all the answers," and the teacher was like, "Whatever." Yeah, I was told by my principal and my teachers that um, I was going to graduate no matter what, because they knew what was going to happen at my house. And yeah, I had a really protective bubble of teachers and friends during that time, so I know I cheated all over the place.
Are you out of touch, or is it the children who are wrong?
Probably me. I'm probably out of touch. At some point, you keep trying to keep up with everything, and at some point you go, "Fuck that shit. I'm just gonna stay in my own area." Although I'm digital, and I didn't think I'd ever picked that up and, a new career, which is tough to figure out. But yeah, I think kids, I don't know. I'm glad I'm not a kid these days. This is a tough time to grow up as a kid, as opposed to when I did. When I did, it was like Mayberry. It was innocent. There was no, if you did something embarrassing, maybe 10 people know about it. And now you're always looked at. You're always under the microscope. And I see so many kids who get stressed out because they can't draw Spider-Man yet. I'm like, no, you got to slow down and enjoy it. And they don't know how to slow down.
Album, shuffle, or playlist?
Ooh, I do shuffle the playlist. Like I like creating a playlist, but again, that might be from my generation where we used to make mixtapes.
Yeah.
So I like organizing the songs, but then again, if I know the order, I kind of like to mix it up and be surprised what comes up next.
Cake or pie?
Cake. The double decker vanilla cake, like Jiffy cake with chocolate icing. That's my dad. For pie, it's got to be chocolate silk pie.
Have you ever had a crush on a cartoon character?
Yeah, I had a crush on Sweet Polly Purebred when I was a kid. The underdog's girlfriend. I had a Betty Rubble. I thought she was hot. Jane Jetson. I went for all the MILF cartoons. The older women characters.
What is more important, freedom or structure?
Well, if I'm honest, it's gotta be freedom because I'm not really a structure kind of guy. You know.
Last meal, a Whopper with cheese, onion rings, and a Sprite, or a three-piece chicken strip with mashed potatoes, gravy, a biscuit, and Dr. Pepper?
What's the first one?
Whopper with cheese, onion rings, and a Sprite.
Yeah, I have to go with the burger.
Will we make it to an interplanetary species, or will we destroy ourselves?
I think they know they're already here. I just don't think they're really impressed. I think they look at planes and go, God, they're still doing this?
Would you rather have tentacle arms or kangaroo legs?
Well, see, I'm a Spider-Man fan. And so, do I want to be Dr. Octopus? Or do I want to be the kangaroo? That guy from Australia who had the spring boots that made him go really high in the air. So, easily Dr. Octopus. I want the tentacles.
Nicolas Cage, best or worst ever?
I like Nicolas Cage. Here's what I like about Nick. I like the fact that he really doesn't play it safe, even when it doesn't work. He's definitely when I saw Face Off, it wasn't just that I smoked weed before I saw it, but I really did believe that he was Travolta. And I really believed that Travolta was him. I really thought they captured each other's mannerisms really well. I love Raising Arizona. I like Moonstruck. I can't wait to see the vampire movie he's in because it looks amazing what he's doing in it. He's great. And then, the more movies you make, the bigger your ego gets. Because you're only having people loving what you're doing. So I do love that he has that bit of pompous to him. I saw him once when Coppola, he bought Inglenook Winery. And he always said it was split into 3 parts. And he always said, if I ever get the 3rd part of Inglenook, I'll throw a party like this town's never seen. And then he was able to get it. And so, as long as your license said you were from Napa, you got in. And it was free wine, free food, and Coppola was pouring for people. And you could bring a sleeping bag, and if you were too drunk to drive, you could just go out in the vineyards and sleep out in the vineyards. And we did that. And it was incredible. But I remember Nicolas Cage was sitting in the fountain because he was so drunk and playing a ukulele. And Coppola was telling him to get the hell out of the fountain. And Nick wanted nothing of it. He wanted to stay in the fountain and just play his ukulele. And It was a pretty cool night, man. And it was
Well,
free.
can't get better than that.
Yeah.
To end the lightning round, could you eat 37 of your favorite food for $5,000 in a 1 hour time limit?
No, I don't want any part of that.
Well,
Why would I want to eat?
congratulations! You've survived the lightning
Anytime people eat
round!
shitloads of food, I never understand those contests because you're not tasting it.
Sure.
But if you told me you had like a Stark's porterhouse in 4 hours and some good friends, I'll do that deal. You give me a good corner table and a bunch of friends and some good food, like
Will
a
you do me
Goodfellas table.
Will you do me this deal? What lightning round question do you have for me and for my future guests?
Um, Self-serve. Oh, I got two then. I got self-serve or have it done for you.
Uh, self-serve. I prefer to just do it myself.
Okay, and sippy cup or straw.
I know sippy cup's the right answer, but I'm gonna do straw because I have this thing about feeling mature. So I always feel like a child, and I feel like sippy cup just confirms that. So I would go
Only when you're
straw, even
saying,
though
only when you have to say the word sippy cup
it.
do you feel immature. But once you use the sippy cup,
Oh yeah, it's clearly superior.
it is the best because you have to hunt. You have to look. So they make straws now where they kind of collapse in the middle now.
Oh yeah, no, the paper straws are garbage.
So if they're gonna play that garbage, I'd rather just have the sippy cup. Like Starbucks
Yes,
does
if
nothing
it's
but
if it's
sippy
gonna
cups.
be if it's gonna be a paper straw, for sure sippy cup at that
How
point.
about
But
those troglodytes who put the straw into the sippy cup?
I mean, they should obviously be taken out back and shot. Everybody knows that. It's just a society we live in that doesn't support that kind of violence anymore.
They should have to stare the barrel down first while I drink from a sippy cup and
All
say
right,
you guessed
man.
wrong.
As we come to a glorious end to this fantastic episode, is there anything you want to plug, a shout out you'd like to give, places people can find you or your content?
I just finished a sequel to Chica Copper. It's 300 and something pages. It's being edited right now by my publisher, and I hope to have it out by the end of the year. And then
Where would they be able
actually,
to find it?
they would be able to. I think it's going to go through a sub publisher of Image.
Okay.
So I don't have that information yet, but you can see all my stuff on Instagram at Tommy Beland, Beland. And then you can read my Marvel stuff on Comicology. There's a Wolverine story called Carnibrawl that I wrote also that's in there. And I'm on Facebook, but Instagram really is I post a lot of art on Instagram.
All right, man. Do you have any friends you'd like to nominate to come on this podcast so they too can suffer as you have today?
I would do Keith Knight. Keith did a show had a show on Hulu called Woke. That was 2 seasons.
That's pretty awesome. I watched that. That was good.
I would say that. I would say Robert Negroso from I think he does alternative comics. I think that's what his books are called. But really cool. If you like underground comics, I think you'd like his stuff quite a bit.
Sweet.
And then who else? Let me think of someone else real quick. I would say I have a former student in Puerto Rico who does a online comic called Straight D's, and her name's Polly Negron, I think her last name. I gotta check it out on that name, but she's cool too. She's young. She's just did Puerto Rico Comic Con and sold out on her books, which she was excited about. And she does it's a gender fluid comic strip, and it's really cool, really pretty stuff. That's really cool stuff with color, and I like her stuff quite a bit.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, man.
Yeah, anytime. This is fun.
Thank you, past tense Isaac. And thank you, Tom, for being my guest today. Or back then. And a special thanks are due to my editor, Richard Ashford, and my composer, Joshua Gibbons. And thank you, yes, you listening at home, or where you found time to appreciate this. Time is the most precious commodity we have, and I really appreciate you spending years with us. And if you enjoy this podcast, subscribe, like it, or share it with a friend. Or if you already have and are out of episodes to listen to, don't worry, we put out a new episode every Monday at midnight on SoundCloud, YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes. at Passionate People and Preposterous Peeves Podcast. And a very special thanks are due to our patrons, Sibeli Yellow. If you'd like to join said illustrious ranks and have your name read aloud, just head on over to patreon.com/Passionate People and Preposterous Peeves Podcast. And remember, folks, if days are numbered and songs are sung, at the end of the day, I think we've all won. So please stick around, because great things have only just begun.